Welcome to the Mail Valet training videos. This video shows how to use the setup functions to prepare Mail Valet to work with your email accounts and how to configure it to be the most convenient for your use. All of the application setup is accomplished by tapping on the Setup button on the main window, as you see here. So we'll tap on Setup. And there are a series of buttons across the top that have a button for each main setup category in the app. Accounts for setting up one or more email accounts to connect with your email providers. Folders for each account to hold and organize incoming and outgoing emails with sorting and color coding. Rules to route incoming emails to specific folders and assign a priority. Contacts to set up specific contacts as either text-only or HTML-based email recipients. And then an Other category which contains miscellaneous additional functions. We'll take a look now at each of these functions, starting with Accounts and Account Setup. Under Accounts, there are several individual functions that you can accomplish using this view. As you can see, Add Email Account is selected now, or you can change an email account, delete an account, or you can also set an outgoing email account as the account that will be used to send emails outbound to other recipients. Let's start with the Add Email Account. We'll click on that. And as an example, let's set up a Gmail account. You'll notice on the right-hand side there's the information, the detailed information that is associated with the Add Email function. There are a number of pre-configured email accounts: Comcast, Verizon, Gmail, Hotmail, GoDaddy, Yahoo, MS Exchange, iCloud. And then for anything else that does not fit into one of those pre-configured categories, there is an Other category which you can use to set up your email connection to your email provider when it's not one of the pre-configured providers. So let's tap on Gmail, and immediately you'll need to either accept the account name that is the default, which is just Gmail, or you can overtype it if you wish to something else. I'll leave it as Gmail. Go ahead and enter an email address just as your email at gmail.com. You'll notice that the user ID is filled in at the same time because usually your email account user ID is the same as your email address. If that's not true, you can come in here and erase and overtype to whatever the actual user ID is, but in most cases it is, and so it provides automatic fill-in the first time when you type in your email address. You can go ahead and put your password in that you've already gotten set up with your email provider. I'll just use pass for now. And then to save that, we'll tap on the Next button at the upper right corner as you see here. And that is all is necessary to initially add the account. Now there are a few additional things that we will need to take a look at once the account is out there. So let's now click on Change Email Account, and you'll notice on the right hand side that there are a list of 3 accounts. One is Example, another one is Example 2, and then the Gmail account that we just added. Example and Example 2 are just dummy accounts that were provided by the installation of Mail Valet, just to give you an example that you can look at of the way an account would look. We'll delete those a little bit later on, but let's go ahead and look at the details for changing the Gmail account that we just added using a pre-configured option. Once we click on Gmail, you'll notice that the account has several different categories of information. One is just general information and setup. One is to set up the incoming email server name, user ID, and password. The outgoing server name, ID, and password, authentication, data transport encryption, select an input folder for IMAP accounts, or to test your account connection. For the pre-configured accounts, nearly everything is set up where it will work, but let's take a look in particular at account general information. We'll click on the plus button next to account general information and look at some of the account details. Notice that our account name, Gmail, it has showed up here. One thing that's available is to set an account list order. When we are out of the setup and back in the main view, the list of email accounts follow one after the other on the left-hand side. We can change the order in which those accounts show by clicking the plus button right here to get a list of the accounts that are out there. And we can just drag the account to put it in the position that we want and tap on change. That will put Gmail at the top of the list and leave the other example accounts below it once we go back to the main view. Okay, the next line has to do with checking for new emails automatically. And you can either turn that on or off so that it will or will not automatically check for them. And you can also set a wait time. How long in seconds will MailVLA wait before it tries to check this account again? And the default value is once a minute, every 60 seconds. If you don't want it to check automatically, but you do want to have the account checked when you ask to get emails manually yourself, you can set this value to 0, as you see here, which I think I'll do for purposes of the video. Otherwise, you can just set it for the number of seconds that you want to wait between the times that it checks the account automatically. Next will be a protocol type. MailVLA supports POP3 accounts and IMAP accounts. The Gmail account, pre-configured Gmail account, is an IMAP account, so we'll leave that set. And then there's a button to either make the account active or inactive. We can make it totally inactive, where it will not be used for outbound emails and it will not be checked for incoming emails. So that can be turned on or off. And that gives you the ability to leave accounts out there that you don't want to currently use or access, but at some later point, without having to re-enter them all over again, you may want to just activate them later. Okay, the next item down is the trash folder auto-delete time. One of the default folders whenever you create a new account is the trash folder. And any emails that go in there can be automatically deleted by MailVLA after a certain number of days. If you set the value here to delete after, say, 63 days, then when an email is put in that folder 63 days later, it will be automatically deleted from the trash folder. If you want to not delete anything automatically from the trash folder, we can set this back to 0, and that will stop it from doing any automatic deletion from that folder. So I'm going to go in here and leave that at 15 days for our example. Next, of course, is your email address. That already was filled in for you when we started adding the new account, if you recall. And then next, the IMAP folder that will be used for the incoming emails. Usually that will be your inbox. This is necessary only for IMAP accounts. It can be left blank if you're setting up a POP3 account. Note also too that MailVLA can copy a whole series of folders and the emails they contain from your email server, from the provider's server, into MailVLA and set up those folders on MailVLA, multiple folders at one time rather than just the inbox. But this is for the usual standard checking from inbox, and then it will use routing rules as you set them up to route from the inbox to other folders that you can set up. Okay, so that covers the general information. We have changed the wait time to 0 so that it does not automatically check for emails in this case. I'm going to tap on the next button, which will bring us back to the main category screen again. Let's take a quick look at a few of the other items that you should not have to change manually, but are just so you'll know that they're there. For the incoming email server, we'll click on the plus button, and then from the pre-configured account information, the server name and the server port number were filled in, and then your email address and password were filled in from where you entered them one time at the beginning when you were setting up the account. We'll tap on next again, and now let's look at outgoing email. We'll click on the plus button, same kind of information for the outgoing email server. Click on next to go back. Then also there is authentication. Some accounts, and in particular this example, will use SASL challenge response authentication. It isn't necessary to know all the details about this. Your email provider should tell you if this is required or not. Generally, it is not required, and you often can just leave this off. But in the case of this Gmail account, we are using SASL challenge response. There is a little bit of help on that right from a button here, as well as the help system that we'll use later on as well. If we tap on this button right here, it gives you just a little more information about SASL, or Simple Authentication and Security Layer, and a little bit about data transport encryption. We can tap outside here to close that, and we can go tap on Next to go back again. Okay, let's take a quick look at data transport encryption. Again, you shouldn't have to change this, but the different options that you have are for both incoming and outgoing email server to use either Secure Sockets Layer / TLS for incoming or outgoing, or to use Start TLS for incoming or outgoing. Again, these are options that your email provider will give to you, and you just set those up according to what they provide. This is pre-configured correctly for the Gmail account. Okay, we'll tap on Next here to go back again. We'll tap now on Select Input Folder. The purpose of this is to view and change the primary inbox that you're going to use on your email provider's server to read emails into MailValet. Again, as we mentioned before, you can sync multiple folders, but there is still a primary input folder that we will use for normal email checking. Let's, for an example here, click on Select Input Folder. You'll notice in our example that we have an error message saying that the IMAP folder query was unsuccessful. The reason for that is that we're just setting up a dummy account for purposes of this demo. It does not have real Gmail credentials. I'm going to clear this right now. If I had put in all of the credentials for a proper Gmail account that was set up, we would get a list of folders in here, including inbox and other folders that may be present under a Gmail account that you have. So you can select any one of those and then click on Change to make that the primary inbox that will be used when you check emails. And you can change that at any time. And again, as I have stated a couple of times, you can sync multiple folders as well. I'm going to cancel out of that. And now let's tap the next button to go back to the main account categories view and look at one more thing, which is the test account connection. We'll tap on the plus button for that. And this view gives you the ability to test the connection you've set up to see if it's working. Of course, we have a dummy account that we're using for purposes of the demo, and so we're going to get connection unsuccessful here, and it would just be, you would need to go back and check your account settings. You could tap on OK here, you could tap on Next, then you can go back and look at your general information and just step back through the things that we have already just shown and make sure that you've set up your account the way that you must according to the email provider that you're using. Okay, I'll tap on Next here. So we're finished with changing this account. So let's look at deleting an email account. We'll tap on Delete Email Account on the left, as you see there. Remember that we had two example accounts, so let's go ahead and delete the example accounts at this point. I'll just tap on the right side on Example, and it will give me a warning. Do you really want to permanently delete the account or not? And it is non-reversible. You would have to go back and re-enter the account if you go ahead. So we're going to say OK. And you'll notice that that account is gone. I'll do the same thing for example 2 and say OK. And just to let you see what happens, is let's close, and we'll go back in. You'll notice now that in our main view, where we will be viewing emails, that the only account that shows up on the left-hand side is Gmail. So that it's very fast to delete accounts, really, and also to make changes or to add new accounts. All right, let's go back into Setup. And under Accounts, there's one more function to look at, which is to set the outgoing email account. I'll tap on that. On the right-hand side, you'll see we now just have one account out there, the Gmail account we just set up. You may have multiple accounts that you can monitor with the program. Whichever one you tap on, in this case the only one that we have, will be set as the account that is used when you send outbound emails as the sending account. Notice that the update message at the bottom was displayed once we tapped on Gmail. That's all it's necessary, is to tap and select on the account that you want to use as the sending account.